Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of The Meeting Replay, a series where I break down how modern financial advisors are actually using AI inside real client or prospect conversations. This show isn't about theory or best practices. This is real workflows, real meetings, and what's actually changing because of AI. I'm your host, Diana Cabrices, Chief Evangelist at Jump, the #1 AI platform for financial professionals. And today I am so honored to be joined by Sarah Cicero. She's a CFP and CFA, managing partner and financial planner at Stonebridge Advisors. And Sarah's going to walk us through a client meeting that came together very quickly during a developing family crisis that required her to act quickly. Some quick details: there was a father, the client's father, who was transitioning to memory care. Her mother was moving to assisted living. And we're going to walk through what all of this required from Sarah, but also how AI helped Sarah get up to speed quickly, stay fully present in the conversation, and follow up with clarity when the client needed it the most. So without further ado, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Diana. Great to see you.
Great to see you as always. I really get to enjoy collaborating with you on some of the other content that we've gotten to work with. Thank you so much for being here today. Let's tell our audience, where are you dialing in from?
I am in Baltimore, Maryland. So East Coast. Yeah.
I have one friend in Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to Francesca McLinn. She's like a crazy smart marketer. I used to work with her, but she always raves about Baltimore. She says,
So fun. It's a wonderful city. I'm lucky to be here.
yes. Well, thank you for being here again. And what I think I'd like to do is really just hop right in. And maybe, Sarah, we can start by laying the foundation for this meeting. So what was happening with this client and her parents, and what made this such a pivotal and emotional conversation for the family?
Yes. So, as you said, my client reached out in a time of true family crisis. Her father's dementia was rapidly progressing to the point that he essentially was needing an immediate transition into a memory care unit. Concurrently, her mother, recovering from a fall in rehab, was becoming it was becoming very clear that she would need a higher level of care assisted living upon her discharge. So my client, I could sense from the tone of the email, the fact that the email was at midnight, she was in crisis and needed to talk essentially that day. This was not a meeting that could be put off. So, facing two major life transitions, I needed to be emotionally connected and prepared to discuss the financials very, very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, just what you said, right? She emailed you at midnight. First off, I think that says a lot about you as a financial planner in this relationship, that you've already built that trust with her, that she knows she could reach out to you, and that you probably were one of the very first, people that she's reaching out to help her figure out and get her bearings around the situation, more than just financially, right? As
Yeah.
you know, advisors wear a lot of hats. You're there to be an emotional support as well. So when we had talked about planning this episode, one of the things you had shared with me was that responsiveness is just it's not about finding an opening on my calendar, and that really stuck with me. And I want to talk about that a little bit. So in this situation, how do you define, like, what did true responsiveness actually require from you as the advisor?
So the true responsiveness, to your point, it was not just about having this hour time slot to talk to the client. I had to be up to speed on the entire situation so that that hour, which she didn't have much time in this situation with all of these moving parts, that we made this hour as productive as possible. So that meant I needed to be prepared. And in order to be properly prepared, I need to know what the client's situation is right now, but also what are all the other pieces of the puzzle? What else has happened with this client over the last few years, so that I really am looking at it from all angles, especially knowing these decisions from a financial aspect that need to be made in these coming days, weeks, months. So the responsiveness really required me to have that clarity going into the meeting so that I could give good advice during that meeting and stay fully present during that meeting. So essentially, responding to that urgency through proper preparation.
Yep. That's what I'm hearing here. It more than just the calendar opening, it was urgency and preparation.
Yes.
And I think a year ago, before AI took our practices by storm, that probably took a lot more time than it did today. So let's shift into like the before the meeting.
Yes.
Because I
Yeah.
know you're a big advocate of AI, and
I am. I have been, I don't know if I'm the earliest adopter, but I think an early adopter. And so before the meeting, I have an amazing team who supports me and my partners. And we spend a lot of time, had spent a lot of time, of course, properly preparing for meetings. And certainly we still prepare, but how we prepare looks so different today than if we rewind 12 months ago, right? So now we're using Jump's pre-meeting prep to pull information from our database, from emails, e-money, all of the systems that we use, so that that doesn't take 2 hours to compile all of this information essentially very quickly and efficiently. My team has that in front of me almost instantaneously. So I could use that time to read over that information and properly prepare for a meeting later that afternoon, where historically it just wouldn't have been possible without these tools.
absolutely, like you said, it would have taken hours, and now it could take seconds, right?
I know. I was going to say seconds, and it's like, is that exaggerating? But yeah, for the most part, it's yeah, certainly minutes. And I have accurate information from multiple sources compiled in one PDF for me to review and get up to speed very quickly. So I don't have to piece things together myself anymore.
Yep.
The other component that I think is really different in my practice, I had 1 year ago, I had a team member sitting in on every meeting
Mm.
with me so that I could be fully present. And these days, that would have required to make sure that person's calendar was open and not just my availability. And now, because we have Jump in the meetings, I can field those meetings on my own without sacrificing that level of presence. I don't need to worry about taking notes. I know all of the information is being captured, and that I can really focus on the person I'm speaking with, and especially in a situation like this where I needed to be emotionally present.
Absolutely. So let's shift into actually during the meeting. So how would you say, using AI, aside from a little bit of what you just shared, like how did it help you stay present for the emotional side of the conversation? But at the same time, you're capturing all these details and you're making, these next step action items happen. Like how could you do that?
So having that assurance, knowing that the jump note taker is there in the meeting, gave me the confidence that I don't need to be writing down and worrying about remembering things. I can really just respond, react, and pay attention to what my client's saying and feeling, and notice her emotional cues, and really hopefully bring some gravity and clarity to a very confusing and upsetting time, where not having that connection and being focused and distracted with notes really took away from that. So it really gave me that confidence, knowing that I can have an accurate transcription post meeting, so I can really focus on my client and how she was feeling.
And I'm sure she felt that confidence too, right? I mean, it's a totally different experience. Emotionally dumping your heart out, if you will, and all the financial, details around the situation when you're talking to someone and they're looking away and they're typing or they're writing. Like, it's like
Yeah.
we're interviewing you right now and I'm just over here in my corner. Right? You have a different experience on your end too. So not only did you get the confidence, but the client gets the confidence. And I think that is so very important. I'm curious to, like, what about after the meeting? How did, like, let's continue on with this AI track.
Yes.
What happened afterwards? How did it help you?
After the meeting, I was able to very promptly and efficiently send a recap email from Jump that really captured the essence of our conversation. So, again, my client in this state where big period of transition for her family, emotionally and financially, there were important financial details that needed to be captured. We developed an action plan. We needed to identify really those urgent items that must be done now, and then also outline a strategic plan for those issues that are important, but not necessarily immediate, due right now priorities. So it was really important that she had a transcription of what we discussed so that she could relay that to her other family members, and then also have that assurance of, we have a plan in place. We've got this. And I was able to send that out essentially immediately after the meeting. And so she could go to sleep that night and knowing that we had a productive meeting. We can't solve everything today, but we have a plan and we have it documented.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
sorry. Well, I was going to say, but then on the flip side, speaking of documentation, my team, we also need to document things. And so, post meeting for us used to mean, copying notes into our database and manually typing in every single little follow-up that we need to do. And now post meeting means once I review the transcription and approve it, I click a button and it goes right into, in our case, it's Redtail. And then all of the tasks and follow-up activities that I outlined in that meeting were already identified and extracted. And if I mention the team member, who needs to do that, it's already set up that way. And again, I hit a button and those team members get their tasks and follow-up items immediately. So my team is able to see what happened in the meeting and then also obtain their specific follow-up items essentially in real time, which, otherwise for me to do notes, communicate those notes and the follow-ups, that could have been a day or two lag time a year or so ago. So it really sped up the process in as far as our internal office workings too.
That's the beautiful thing about AI, right? It elevates the client experience, but it also elevates the employee experience. You have team members there that probably feel so much more productive, that probably feel a lot less burden on their shoulders to show up day to day in this role for your company and get work done and have more time in their day to do things that might make a bigger impact, or that, to brainstorm about ways they can just continue elevating the client experience at Stonebridge. And so I love to hear that your team, the client, everyone wins when you implement AI, and it is a beautiful thing. So
it really is. I think I've probably shared this with you in the past, but the way that we do business today is essentially a 180 from a year or so ago in terms of that operations side and the efficiencies. So we really are able to focus on the aspects of our business that really are the important ones in terms of connection with clients and cultivating relationships, because the mechanics and the behind the scenes are now much more efficient and more automated.
yeah. I love it. It gets me excited. That's why I host this series. I'm like, I want
Yeah.
to talk to advisors like you and hear these stories and share them with other advisors, because believe it or not, there are still other advisors out there who either they're dragging their feet on implementing more AI into their business. Maybe they're a little bit skeptical. Maybe they're just too busy and they don't really know or understand or even feel the benefit of using AI. So I actually would love to ask you, Sarah, for those advisors, maybe they're not using Jump, they're early, again, all those
Sure.
different conditions. What advice would you give them? What would you say to them?
I'd first say, don't be scared. And then also don't take on too much at once. And so essentially, when it comes to implementing AI or any technology, what I've really found is that if we try to do too much at once, really nothing sticks. And so really identify that one workflow or area that might cause friction in your practice and really focus on solving that. For us, it was really the client meetings. Having that dedicated employee sitting in meetings, it was essential and important, but it also took that employee away from doing other things. And so that's really what we identified as our biggest point of friction, and which is why our note taker Jump was the first AI tool that we implemented. Now it's interesting, of course, we implemented it as a note taker, but as I've shared through this last 12 months, it's doing so much more than just transcribing notes. It's really essentially kind of, I'll call it the hub of how we're connecting our different systems in our back office. So my real advice is take your time in implementing, and don't really move on to that next problem or that next tool until you fully integrated the first one. And don't shy away from it. AI is not going away. It's
Not, it's
it's
here to stay.
It is, and I'm really viewing it's a tool in my tool belt. It's not replacing me. I don't believe it will replace us as advisors, but I firmly believe that advisors who are not using AI will be replaced by advisors who are. And we must be integrating this in order to succeed.
That is such a good way of thinking about it. I'm going to just repeat what you said. Advisors, AI is not here to replace advisors, but the advisors not using AI will inevitably be replaced by advisors using AI. Why? Because you're faster, you can respond more, you can pay attention more, you can be emotionally available more, your team is supported, all the benefits that we talked about today, which are so, so helpful. Sarah, I cannot thank you enough for making some time to share your story, to share this specific client situation with us, to share how you're using AI. I know without a doubt, all the advisors that tune into the show, somebody out there is going to walk away from this and say, oh my gosh, I'm so inspired by Sarah. I need to do this right away. So even if you just impacted one, I'm so very happy about that. So thank you so, so much.
You are very welcome. I'm so happy to be here. I just love sharing this and sharing with everyone how much AI and Jump have impacted our practice. It's been amazing.
I feel your conviction. I see it. I hear it. Thank you. And for anyone who might still be tuned into the audience and you'd like to learn more about Jump, the #1 AI platform for financial professionals designed to save you time, increase revenue, and elevate the client experience, you can scan this QR code here at the bottom of the screen. It'll give you an access to a free 14-day trial. So maybe you want Jump to sit into your next meeting. It's free. There's no commitment. Feel free to scan that QR code, and we will see you all on the next episode. Thanks so much.
Thanks.